I was sitting in a room similar to this, listening to a speaker at the front of the room, when I had a feeling that I'd had many times before. That feeling of frustration and self-doubt, feeling like somehow I didn't belong in that room, feeling like somehow I wasn't good enough. I was listening to a speaker talk about having won this World Champion Public Speaking Award. And he was presenting this topic from the perspective of, if I did it, anyone can do it. How many times have you sat in a room or read a book and you listened to someone say, if I did it, anyone can do it? And this didn't leave me feeling motivated. It left me feeling really frustrated. Because I didn't have the same opportunities that this presenter had. I grew up here in the Denver area. Most of my childhood, I lived in poverty. There was pretty severe mental illness in my family, and things were not stable. They were not safe. We weren't just poor, we were below the poverty line. We received public assistance and all of the fun social things that come with that. I got made fun of at school. Even the people who came to help to bring us baskets of food or clothes in the winter, whatever that looked like, would look down on us. And I learned to be ashamed of where I came from. But I wasn't gonna stay in that situation. I knew that I wasn't, and I made a decision when I was 8 years old that I was gonna create something better for myself, better than the life that I had just because of the family I was born into. And from that moment, I started seeking out any kind of opportunity to better my situation, to better myself. And it wasn't easy, and it took a really long time. The fact that I'm standing in front of you right now, sharing this information with you, speaks to the fact that right now I am privileged, or I wouldn't be able to be here. So that feeling that I had in that room with that speaker one day, it made a lot more sense to me when I came across this 2017 study that was done on underprivileged students. And what they found was that when these underprivileged students were told, life is fair, and you have the same opportunities as your peers, these students internalized that, and they assumed that if they were not able to achieve the same things that their peers were able to achieve, something was wrong with them. That's how they took that information. Something is wrong with me. They saw decreased confidence and an increase in risky behaviors. And a lot of these students who were told life is fair, when they had very real barriers in the way, they just stopped trying to succeed. And when I read this study, it was so fascinating, and that's when I knew that as the person who has sat in those rooms and felt frustrated with the person at the front of the room speaking from a place of privilege, that feeling of, I blamed myself. I always thought there was something wrong with me. I didn't assume that it was the system, that it was the system of oppression. I didn't assume that it was my circumstances. I thought it was me. And that's the reason I feel that this topic is so important to talk about and talk openly about. We're not always aware that the reason we're not achieving those same results is because the odds are stacked against us. Anyone else is like a personal development book junkie? Yeah. And realizing that so much of the information that's shared about how to improve your situation and better your life is shared from a perspective of privilege. Because the person sharing that information would not have that platform if they were not privileged. And I thought, how frustrating is that? And I really wanted to be in this world where we stopped looking at people as experts and we started looking for people who are information leaders, who can separate their privilege from the information and the ideas and knowledge that they have to share, so that they can reach a wider audience. And so I want to talk about some ways that we can shift that dynamic, and you as an individual can show up differently in the world. You can show up differently as someone who's aware and has this consciousness around this issue. And that when you seek to help others, when you seek to make lives better, that you're actually having a greater impact than you would otherwise. Because do you only want to make the lives better of other people who are privileged? I mean, certainly they deserve some amount of help. But what if you could reach a much wider audience and change the situation for many, many more people? Is that what you want? I know it's definitely what I want.